Tim Dineen, the die guy with Food Extrusion Dies, video number 4 of Die Talks, which is going to be about inserts versus die plates. So let's get right into this inserts versus die plates. So die plates are mainly used for production. They're not interchangeable. Let me show you what I mean by that. All your extrusions are cut into your main plate. Like I said, that's best for production, for volume, because you can always get more extrusions in that versus an insert plate. It can be resharpened and the face of it be buttered. The one thing you can't do with an insert holder plate, let's say you do not like the way your shapes or extrusions are getting cut with a knife, like it's hitting it at the wrong edge and doing it something you don't like. Well, you can't change that. You can't rotate them. You can't do anything. So once you get into production, it is always best to put it in a die plate. Okay, so there's 3 factors in inserts and die plates and that. There's flow, gravity, and knife cut. This is a very quick drawing. So basically we have knife cut, flow, and gravity. Those are the 3 factors. Now, this is an insert holder plate, or it could be a regular plate if you remove the inserts that I've drawn in there, but the shapes are that way. And the shapes are going this way all the way around. So that would be one that was made best for gravity. In extrusion, gravity is always a factor, especially if you have longer pieces you're trying to cut, or curls or stuff like that. Not so much in serial stuff, but longer pieces, gravity is always a factor, whether you realize it or not. This particular one is made for gravity. So just like everything else in food extrusion, when you benefit towards one way, it takes away from the other ways. So when you're doing gravity, your flow is affected. The reason your flow is affected is because, let's say this is a longer part, your center here, all your flow and pressure, it's always higher pressure in the middle. So your thing's coming out, your flow is going like that. So every one of these parts is going to be a little bit different, because on this part, the flow is hitting that from the center. On this part, the flow is hitting it from the end. Your parts are going to be all irregular. So that's one of the things about flow and versus gravity. Now knife cut, that's the same thing. So when your knife's swinging around here, it's going to hit this one differently than it hits that one. And on a big wide part like that, knife cut is a big factor. So you have knife cut, flow, and gravity. They're always 3 things that you're trying to balance to get the best production part you want. So again, if you cut those into a die plate and you realize that you want to adjust that because of your flow or your knife cut, it's just not going to happen. You're done. That's another big benefit of an insert holder plate, because you can rotate and change those things to see what the best thing is before you get going into production. So another benefit to insert holder plates is different submaterials. So basically, if you have a die plate like this again, you cannot have different materials in there for your extrusions. And sometimes those are very needed to get you, especially we're talking about longer parts. Coefficient of friction and flow is everything. You may not realize that, but it really is, especially in longer parts. So if you have a die plate, you cannot put different materials or even test different materials. Sometimes you don't even know how good your part can get until you try different materials. And in the last video we did that had to do with different die materials and steels, we went over a little bit of that with the different things, where stainless versus hardened material versus plastic or PEEK, all those have different coefficients of friction, and they will all change your part. Again, some people have only been running one type of thing, and they don't even realize how good their production can get. So if you have an insert holder plate, that's a great place to test. You can have different materials made that balance the wearability versus the product you're trying to get and the different flows. So that is another huge benefit to die plates. If I had to choose where to start at, I would always start in an insert holder plate. And then once you get the rotation or the clocking of all your stuff, how that runs right, different materials and all that, then if I want to up the production, I would definitely go to a die plate. But in the very beginning, in my preference, insert holders are always the best place to start. Okay, to sum up the end of the video, we talked about a couple extra things. Your cutter knives and the insert shims for your insert plates. Probably about 10 or 15 years ago, we actually made knives, but we were having them made on the outside. We couldn't control the quality of them, so we stopped doing it. Again, if we cannot bring the best product possible to our customers, we don't want to do it. So we spent years researching different materials and types and techniques of grinding to come up with the knives that we're supplying today. So again, knives, and then the shims, that go down inside your inserts to level your insert plates out, which aren't available anywhere else. That's a game changer for your insert plates. It helps get it to the same quality of a die plate. That's about it. Remember, shims, knives, contact us. We'll see you later. So that's been our number 4 video, inserts versus die plates. I look forward to hearing from all of you, and know that you can call me at any time. We'll see you later.